Hello, this is John. It is Sunday, May 30th? Day before Labor Day. I've been kind of a sloth and not wanting to walk, much less make a video, but I think it's important to try and push through that and see if we can talk for a moment. It's hard to make happiness all the time, isn't it? I don't know if I'm still processing or grieving the loss of one of my dearest friends, or the threat that I will probably lose my father anytime. I went and saw him this week. Don't spend enough time with him. That's just obvious. Some of that's work, some of that is history, some of it is, I don't know. But I got up there and I saw him, and he's struggling to breathe. 3 packs of cigarettes a day for the last 40 years. If that's not a warning to you smokers, I mean, there was a time when I would nag him, try to get him to quit, and then there was a day I woke up and I'm like, you're an adult, you do what you need to do. And maybe that's what I'm doing, making myself walk. Just walk already, right? Just walk, keep going. And how real do you make your public face? This is a public face. I'm being genuine. I'm not on a script. I'm figuring it out as I walk, and I'm pretty good at figuring things out on the fly. It's easier when you have someone that you can bounce off of, reflect off of, and so one of the stories my dad told me, we were talking and he's like, "You remember that?" And I'm like, I tend to remember a lot of things. Not everything, but he told me he was in the Navy, 22 years. He said something like, no, that's not precise. It's 21 years and 6 months and something, Yeah, 22 years, it sounds about right to me. I don't know if you can follow or track all the comments I've left on videos. Some of them seem to be spot on. Some of them result in pushback because I'm not precise enough all the time. And so, for example, I commented about the NASA throwing away tapes from the moon, from our lunar expeditions, the Apollo expeditions, and someone argued they didn't throw them away, and I'm like, okay, so they recorded over the tapes. It's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Maybe not. Maybe it's not precise enough, and still, the fact that they taped over videotapes, like, I can't imagine thinking, oh my God, I need to tape this new TV show, and the only one I have is the lunar lander. Oh, no one's going to watch that again. All right, so anyway, Dad was in the Navy. They, had a call to general quarters. It was a drill, and of course, if you know anything about ships, every door is like sealable so that if you take on water, it doesn't leak into the next compartment. And some of those the threshold comes up off the ground maybe a foot. Some of them are not quite that tall, or it's a little taller, but it alternates. And my Uncle Tom was right behind them as they ran through one, and he thought he was going through the small one, put his foot on the thing and shoved up and hit his head, knocked himself out. And he said from that moment on, the ship's bells rang for him. And I'm like, well, were you hurt bad? And he said, no, I have a hard head. It's kind of a good story. Any of you guys that served with my dad or in the Navy or in any branch, God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for your service. The stories I've heard from my dad, pushing airplanes off the ship into the ocean because they had a fire. Because, well, you can't lose the whole ship or all the planes because of a fire. So off they go. Well, I think one of the best stories, so my dad was chief of avionics, and one day he got a call from the deck saying one of his men had walked into a prop. And he says, all right, well, we'll get met. And he said, no, he walked away. This guy lived. He hit the prop just right with his helmet, and it threw him back. And I guess if you have enough people around dangerous situations, you'll have some luck stories, right? My dad said, well, shut the aircraft down and inspect the prop. They didn't do that. They sent it on its way. It got back to its port, and when they looked at the prop, it had been, one of the blades was deflected in like an inch. So I'm like, they should probably listen and shut things down when they need to. And so I get these stories. I'm putting them here in this log, and if it lasts long enough, or my son is curious or he finds it, maybe he'll get to carry the story a little bit. We tell stories. You know about the stories. You know about Sully. You know. Yeah. It's the stories that we carry the longest, that probably help define us. One of the stories that I collected today was from someone who's navigating a dream. And, you know, we think about dreams. You usually don't remember dreams unless they're significant or they're scary or uncomfortable. And I'm of the opinion the ones that make you most afraid or uncomfortable are the ones you need to sit with the longest, because there's something there that's useful. If your dreams are unrememberable at other times, then maybe that means your dreams are not you don't reflect on dreams as an important part of your life. And so that makes the ones that stand out more significant, which means those are the ones you need to unpack. For example, my dad says he doesn't dream, but he remembered one dream about maybe 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. I don't remember precisely when. I do remember the dream. And they were in Abilene, so that kind of puts a time frame, living in my grandparents' house. It was after my grandfather had died, which was 92. Yeah, I guess the time doesn't matter. Anyway, he dreamt the lottery numbers. He was on an elevator, and as the elevator went up, the numbers to the lotto rang clear on the thing. And when he woke up, he wrote them down. Precise numbers. He had been playing every day for like 10 years. And he got up and did his morning routine, which was to go to Denny's, have dry toast, several cups of coffee, and then would go and play the lotto. Only that day, he decided not to play. And those numbers won. He would have won like $4.6 million in the lottery, and my mom didn't speak to him for like 6 months. Oh, good times. Yeah. What stories do you have of family members? Especially if they served. Like my neighbor, he served. He was at Vietnam. They were probably there at the same time my dad was, only that they wouldn't have crossed paths. He's told some stories. There's some stories that really probably shouldn't be told, but maybe they need to be told. We need to know things. We need to know how dark we can get. And fuck, humans can be dark. I can be dark. I've done things I wish I hadn't. Maybe all humans do. And in that, I wrote a little piece that went to Medium. I'll try and link it here, and if you're interested, it's kind of a fantasy, and it deals with a subject that I'm thinking about discussing, which is tulpas. And I'll tell you more about those on another video. But for now, I wish you well and happy Memorial Day. Take care.